Do you want to own a business in Canada? Buy it. Unlike Ukraine, in Canada, the sphere of selling and buying businesses is very well developed. And if you want to start a small business, it's often easier to buy an unprofitable or troubled business and turn it into a profitable one. In Canada, labor, construction, and equipment are very expensive. In addition, you need to understand how to make everything so that your location and kitchen met the requirements of health inspection and the city hall and so on. So that is why very often it's easier to buy a business rather than to build it from scratch. Where to start looking for business? Before understanding this process, I was looking for business on some websites. I just googled business for sale, restaurant for sale, and I've got up to 10 websites with relevant ads. But it turned out that I can use just 2 places and have it all. You need to find a realtor who specializes in buying and selling businesses. In the MLS Multiple Listing Service database, each realtor has the opportunity to make a search query for a business or real estate. According to the criteria you filters, this realtor will subscribe you to all updates. And I would recommend looking for all restaurants priced below your purchase limit. For example, so that you receive all new or updated offers with $200,000 or less by mail. Often, businessmen put up a business at one price and sell the business 2, 5, 10 times cheaper than the original price. This is due to the fact that in a business that experiences losses, it's quite difficult to see the value. If the owner closes such a business, he will lose everything. So therefore, it's better to sell a business for at least some money in order to recover part of the invested funds. Also in Canada, you cannot stop renting a business location at any time because a tenant is obliged to pay rent till the end of the lease agreement. This is another factor that pushes a businessman to sell a business faster and cheaper. So, another place, not just MLS database, but you also have to take a look at Facebook Marketplace. Sometimes there you also can find some propositions which can be found at MLS database. The next thing I want to tell you is that analyzing businesses is very important. So you have found 5, 10, 20 interesting locations for sale. Look at businesses visually first, so that you like the location and general characteristics. In one day, you can drive 3, 6 locations. If you are interested in any of them, so just ask the realtor to request detailed information. So usually basic finances and a description of internal processes are provided upon signing the NDA, non-disclosure agreement. But I must say that real financial documentation is usually not shown even at this stage. You basically have to take the seller's word for it. The next step is writing an offer. If you are interested in some business and you want to buy it, you need to make an offer with the realtor and send it to the seller's realtor. From the moment the offer is accepted, the transaction process begins. Important: write in the offer at least 1 month for the transaction and write down the conditions for exiting the transaction so that you can cancel it at any time without losing the deposit. So yeah, maybe you will have to pay some deposit for about $5, $10, or even $20,000 right when offer is accepted. So the reason for the withdrawal may be inconsistency of financial documentation or its absence before the offer was submitted, an uncomfortable lease agreement for the premises, the landlord's refusal to rent the premises for you. Yes, my first business that I wanted to buy was not sold to me. The reason is that I had just arrived in Canada and the landlord thought that I was not a trustworthy enough tenant, so the seller couldn't sell just this business to me. And next, you need to say everything in detail, what the seller leaves and what he takes, to put it on paper. The next question you have to decide: is it a share sale or an asset sale? There are 2 types of purchasing. Buying a company, when you buy a company with all its obligations, and when you buy the assets and make your own company. The second approach is, of course, much safer. You will not be responsible for liabilities or errors in filing tax returns. But when you buy a company, you don't have to get all the papers done again, so you're just changing the owners. In my opinion, the most important thing when buying is understanding the shortcomings of the business, its weaknesses, which you can improve. After all, if everything in a business is perfect and beautiful, and it is unprofitable, then it will be extremely difficult to improve it. It will be easier to develop the business where you see a lot of issues for improvement. Next advice: bargain to get a better price. Don't settle for the selling price of the business right away. Bargain with the seller. Often people overestimate their businesses because they have invested a lot in this business and they can not understand their real value. An unprofitable business can cost several times less than invested funds. Moreover, you need to look at the lease agreement, and if it is not very good, then the price of the business may drop to zero, or the seller will still agree to pay extra if you take his business. All this is important to understand. And final action is legal one. So, legal actions. To buy a business, you will need to hire lawyers who will prepare documents for each party and pay a notary. In principle, these are already more formal steps that are needed so that none of the parties violates the agreement and everything goes legally. In general, finding a business can take months. The purchase process itself usually takes place within 1-2 months. So it's almost impossible to find and buy a business in Canada very quickly. Some people have been looking for a business for years. I'm opening a restaurant in Vancouver, so please support my efforts to make valuable content and subscribe to my channel here, especially if this video was helpful for you. Thank you.